Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. It is time to look at issue 21 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine, the Partworks magazine produced by Hachette Publishing in association with Games Workshop. This is issue 21. Issue 21 is kind of a big deal because it's a bit of a milestone. If you've been following my videos on Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, you'll know that I've mentioned previously that issue 20 sort of represents the end of the first wave of the product. By the time you get to issue 20, you've got 2 small skirmish forces and enough terrain to create the spaceship cargo bay on which they play all of the tutorial scenarios, and you've pretty much learned all of the rules of the game. And in issue 21, they are moving to a larger battlefield, and they're starting to introduce more terrain and obviously larger armies with more vehicles and things like that. So it's this from issue 20 on, we're kind of in phase 2, and that's worthy of note based on what they've actually included with the magazine, which we will have a look at now. First of all, you get a unit of reivers. These are the easy build reivers that go together without glue. We have had these in a previous issue. This is kind of just like it's an army building sprue. It's a relatively cost-effective way for Hachette Publishing to give you more units to put on the table at not a huge expense to themselves, because this frame retails for £10 if you buy it from Games Workshop direct. You can get it for a discount online, obviously, but the retail price is £10. Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine has a cover price of $7.99, so buying the magazine, you do get a minor saving over retail, but of course you also get the magazine itself. But yeah, this is just kind of like a way to start phase 2 of giving you a bigger force to play with. So not the most exciting thing to get. I mean, it's never that exciting to get a kit that you've already seen before, but you know, duplication happens when you're building an army, when you're playing something like Warhammer 40,000 and you get beyond the skirmish level. Once you get to the bigger armies, you are going to have duplication. That's just the way it is. There's not enough unique bits and bobs in the world. So yeah, it's part of building a bigger force, and the reivers are quite cool. The biggest problem with the push fit reivers is you don't get all of the different weapon options. But there we go. Also in this issue, there's a little sample chapter book of the Lords of Silence by Chris Raitt. They have started including these little books in lots of their products. Most of their starter sets and things will come with one of these little books now. And really, it's just a promo. It's it's the start of a book to get you to want to go out and buy that book. I don't read a huge amount of Games Workshop's Black Library fiction. But you know, it's good stuff. I think it's an acquired taste to a certain degree. I know several people who have tried to read Games Workshop novels, particularly Warhammer 40k novels, and there's quite an archaic use of language. They use it's quite difficult to explain, but everything's very baroque and it's very gothic and quite wordy at times, and using a lot of unusual terminology that can feel a little bit baffling for readers. But it is good stuff and usually very exciting, and some cool characters and some cool settings and cool world building. I have real trouble saying world building. The other thing you get is this core rules leaflet on quite sturdy card, which is quite nice. That's nice because it's quite robust. And this is interesting because this is the full core rules. This is the leaflet that Games Workshop includes in all of its 40k starter sets. It is the thing that you will have on the table. Even if you've got the full hardback rulebook for Warhammer 40k, you will probably still just have this on your table because it's the easy thing to reference. And it's interesting they give this now because obviously the first 20 issues of the magazine have taught you the basic rules, and at this point they're saying, right, well here's your core rules leaflet. You don't need those first 20 magazines anymore. If you've been playing through those tutorials, you're done with those tutorials. It's time to put on your big boy pants or your big girl pants and use the proper core rules leaflet. So that's very interesting that that's the phase we've reached 20 issues in. So from now on, it's kind of fleshing out that core concept. We know all the core rules. We've got our small skirmish forces of core units. We've got some basic terrain. It's now time to start layering on all that cool extra stuff that makes Warhammer 40k a massive, enjoyable hobby. It's time to get big. Good. And here's the magazine. That's what the reivers look like when they're assembled. This one's got Elvis leg. In fact, they've all got Elvis leg. What have we got inside? Stuff about Space Wolves. Stuff about reivers. And then some stuff about Hellblasters, which is a bit unusual in the reivers book. Yeah, and some stuff about Hellblaster war gear. I guess stuff that they hadn't covered fully in previous issues. And then we've got some stuff about Mortarion. He's not very nice. And so stuff about different types of worlds, hive worlds, agri worlds, forge worlds, chapter planets. That's interesting. That's all fun background fluff. Good. And then we've got the how to build section. We have seen this before in a previous issue because it's not the first time we've had reivers. And then we get to the painting guide. So again, they don't include. I've never noticed this before, but they don't include the base coating in the steps. Maybe they've never done that, but I only recently noticed that they don't include it. But make sure you base coat first before step 1. Is step 0. Then you've got applying the different colours. The painting guides I do think are really good. They're nice up close pictures of what's going on. And and this is something they started doing in issue 19, I think, where you get a proper look at your fully painted miniatures. And look at that, that's sort of crisp and cartoony. But that is a good level of painting. If by this point you're painting to that standard, you can be very, very proud of what you're achieving. I mean, you should be proud of what you're achieving regardless. You should never be setting yourself some crazy standard to achieve when you're new to a hobby. You should be sitting down to enjoy the act of painting your miniatures, and then when you're finished, whatever you've come up with, you should be proud of that because you did it yourself. And you know, that's an important and intrinsic part of the hobby. It's creating it yourself. It's having something you've done yourself and being proud of it. And you know, you should never look down at your work and say, "Oh, that doesn't look as good as what other people are doing." It's your work. It's your way. And if you can get something that looks like that when you're still relatively new to the hobby, then you know that's incredible. Good stuff. Look, there's the backs of them. And this is quite useful for just picking out, so you can see things like the purity seal there. Just make sure you haven't missed that. And the bits of detailing on the knife, scabbard, and things like that. Just to make sure you don't miss anything. And then here we go. This is a little look at the Corvon 2 playmat, which they gave away many issues ago. I mean, I've had that sitting around my house for quite a while. So it's weird that they gave it away previously rather than now, but whatever. And then we've got a little thing where it's going through the core rules reference card, telling you what it's all about. Not sure that's necessarily necessary. Do you really need a reference card for your reference card? I don't know. There's more stuff there. And then we've got a mission using this is our first mission using the Corvon 2 larger scale board. And using quite big armies. Good stuff. And a counter-attack. And that is it for this issue. Pretty cool. Not the most exciting stuff on the cover, but still, you know, a pretty good issue that sort of represents the introduction to phase 2 of your hobby. And the next magazine will contain Astro Granite, which is textured paint, and a medium base brush. And then issue 23 will contain, probably not very surprisingly, some more terrain. More barrels, unfortunately, but it's basically a set of other scatter terrain. So we've got some tank traps and munitions crates, platforms, little gas tank. Yeah, scatter terrain stuff that when you're moving planetside, your battlefields are going to be taking place in an urban sprawl. You're going to have more vehicles and things being introduced. So this sort of scatter terrain it's good stuff to have, and not surprised at all to see that coming in at this point in the subscription. Yeah, and that's it. That's issue 21. As always, I'm going to put up some running totals here, which is the cost of subscribing to the magazine, paying the cover price of the magazine each week, versus the price of purchasing all of the products that come with the magazine at Games Workshop's retail prices. Obviously, you can get those products at discounts, so sometimes the savings might not be as great as they may appear here. But, you know, I'm using retail for all of my comparisons. Sue me. Actually, no, don't. I can't afford it. And that is it. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.